There it is. That was then, this is now. And at the end of the cowboy movie, you ride off into the sunset and the movie ends. Nate Bukaty, who covers the Royals for us, joins us now. Nate, they rode off into the sunset, but now, all right, it's a whole new movie. So what is their plan? What are they thinking is next in Kansas City?
Well, the stated plan, Brian, by the organization is that it's time to reset and rebuild. Now, whether or not that includes any of those free agents you just talked about coming back kind of still remains to be seen. But for the most part, I mean, they said farewell to these guys. They celebrated them the last home game of the year. Ned Yost talked about how when Mike Moustakas broke that home run record, Eric Hosmer took the whole team out to dinner and said to the young players, this is the legacy that we're leaving behind for you. I mean, it's a pretty strong implication that none of those guys would be back. But now we're kind of wondering a little bit if some of them might be back. The main focus, though, for this team is they've got now to rebuild. The core is going to be broken up, and they're going to have to restock the farm system and try to start this process over again.
What's surprising, I think, to a lot of people, what would be surprising once you learn this, is that the Royals were top 10 in payroll last year. They're number 8 last season. So, and that's the way to do it. Like they were low, but when it came time to push, they did. They were not cheap. They went after it. They're top 10. Where do they want their payroll going forward?
Well, they want it to come back for sure. They don't want to live up in that upper echelon, like you said, and for obvious reasons. I mean, in terms of market size, you're talking about one of the smallest market teams in Major League Baseball, and they still haven't gotten a new TV contract yet, in which would bring in a little bit more money for them to spend. Like you said, they went for it the last couple of years. They won the World Series in 2015. They tried to do whatever they could to supplement that nucleus in 16 and 17. They know they can't live in that realm. So they want the payroll to come back down a little bit. They want to stock again with young players and get ready for the next time the team's ready to really compete.
You know, Nate, Lorenzo Cain had a surprisingly good season. He was a 5-win player last year. Moustakas with the home runs. Hosmer, again, has had 3 seasons where he's played just about every single day. Career year last year. If they had their choice, like to pick one legacy guy or one guy to live with and hopefully keep people in the stands, who do you think they'd go after?
Unquestionably, it's Eric Hosmer. I mean, they haven't really made any secret about that, Brian, that he is the foundation guy, and they would like to bring him back. Now, the question is, can it fit into that salary structure that we just talked about? The market doesn't seem to quite be as high for Hosmer as many people thought it would be, so it makes you wonder a little bit if it might be that he falls into that price range that they can afford. You mentioned Lorenzo Cain. Look, there's an argument to be made that he's been the most valuable player for the Kansas City Royals during their stretch of being competitive. But when you look at the age of Lorenzo Cain, he's already starting to get into his mid-30s. Doesn't really make sense if you're rebuilding to put your money in that regard. Whereas Eric Hosmer's 28 years old, they get the sense that if they sign him to a longer-term deal, they might still have him at a productive age and contract by the time the rebuilding mode comes back around. So that's the guy they'd like to keep. It remains to be seen whether or not they can afford it.
Nate, do you think, if you're a Royals fan, that this is the start of the dark days? Or do you think, no, it's going to be a different sort of plan? I didn't know one plans to have 20 years of losing. But do you think this is going to be a return to where they were? Or do you think this is going to be just a quick cycle?
From my perspective, Brian, the thing that you can look at is this regime, Dayton Moore and his entire front office, have proven to this city that they can build a championship team. It doesn't require blind faith anymore like it did back the first time around when his organization built a championship team. I think that's going to keep the fans at least bought in to a certain extent. I personally, Brian, think it's very difficult in this current climate of Major League Baseball to build a winning team, particularly in a mid to small market, without going through some really rough years. We've just seen it with the Houston Astros as a perfect example. Dayton Moore says he doesn't want to, quote unquote, tank like some of those other teams have. He would like to see the team stay competitive at a certain level until they're able to restock the farm system. I just don't know that that's possible. But like I said, the thing that you hold faith in if you're a Kansas City Royals fan is Dayton Moore, his lieutenants have proven they know how to build a team from the ground up. It's just a matter of how long it takes.
All right, Nate Bukaty, again, covering the Royals. Nate, good talking to you. Thank you.